بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله علي الذات عظيم الصفات سمي السمات كبير الشأن جليل القدر رفيع الذكر مطاع الأمر جلي البرهان فخيم الاسم غزير العلم وسيع الحلم كثير الغفران جميل الثناء جزيل العطاء مجيب الدعاء عميم الإحسان سريع الحساب شديد العقاب أليم العذاب عزيز السلطان. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمد عبده ورسوله المبعوث إلى الأسود والأحمر المنعوت بشرح الصدر ورفع الذكر وصلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه الذين هم خلاصة العرب العرباء وخير الخلائق بعد الأنبياء. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في سورة العنكبوت بعد أن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه حسنا وإن جاهداك لتشرك بما ليس لك به علم فلا تطعهما إلي مرجعكم فأنبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. صدق الله العظيم. وقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم المرء مع من أحب، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. وقال عليه السلام لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. So to begin, we have this beautiful story of a Sahabi. He goes up to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and he's very disturbed. He's very worried. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I'm just a man. I'm just one of the normal men. Of course, for us, the Sahaba, they're of a completely different level. But he's saying, I fear that I won't be able to see you in Jannah. Right? So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he gets very concerned. He says, oh, what's wrong? Something going on. What's happening? He says, because of your daraja, of the fact that you're a Nabi, that you're, khair, you're much better than we are, I fear that you will be with the other Anbiya in Jannah and I will be stuck, so to speak, on my own level of Jannah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he smiles and he goes to the Sahabi and he tells him, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahab, meaning that the individual, the person, he's with those who he loves. So we could take it in two meanings. The first meaning we could take in this dunya. All right, you find that in school, in the workplace, outside, that an individual, he spends the most of his time with those people who he loves or those people who he wants to be with, right? You'll find that a person, his friend group, are made up of people, they have the same interests or similar interests. In the workplace, somebody is usually with his friends, his workplace friends are usually those people who he enjoys spending time with them. Now, if we take it in the second meaning, which would be fil akhirah, we'll find that because of a person's actions in this dunya, because he surrounds himself with those people who he loves, he'll be surrounded by those same people. For example, such an individual, he is a muttaqi person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him tawfiq that he spends his time with good muttaqi people, even if he can't be at their same level. He can't do their same actions. He finds that, my friends, they're much better than I am. They're much better than I am, but I enjoy their company. I enjoy their company, like we have the very well-known hadith that a person, his friends, they have a great effect on him. And then Rasulullah gives us the example of a person, he works in a perfume shop. If you spend a lot of time with somebody who works in a perfume shop, you go and visit his shop, you'll find that you smell nice. You have a nice smell on you. Your clothes, they smell nice. Versus somebody, he's a blacksmith, or he works with coals or some kind of fire. You find that your clothes end up being black, sooty. You have the athar of the person that you're around. So even if we can't be like these people, we say, I love them, I love how they are. I love their suhbah. I feel like just when I sit around them, I remember Allah Azza wa Jal. I remember Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're always encouraging me to do good. This person, because of his love, will find that he is shaded under the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day when there is no shade, just because of his love of those people. And that he spent time with them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. While on the other side, we have the person, this dunya is his only worry. How much money he makes is his only worry. What he's going, where he's going is his only worry. Whether salah comes, salah goes, Ramadan comes, Ramadan goes. Whether he gives zakah, he doesn't, donates, volunteers, it's not his concern. All he's worried about is nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. And the people who he spends time with are also like this. Their concerns are, it's all about me, it's all about my dunya, it's all about my work, it's all about, I have to go get this job so I can make this much money, and so on and so forth. This person, He spends time with these people and he ends up building a love for them. As much as we may say, no, I'm not like these people, they're just the people who are around me. Regardless of the fact that we may have this kind of perception of ourselves, we should always take the most caution. Because we don't realize the more time we end up spending with these people, the more and more they start to change us. Some of my, people that you end up speaking to, they say, I want to get married. It doesn't matter if I get married to, a muttaqi, person. It doesn't matter if they're, a super good Muslim. I'm going to change them. I'm going to change them. I'll change them for the better. But you don't realize that such a person that you have to change, their effect could also be on you. We go to school and we say, I spend time with these people. No, I'm working on changing them. But in reality, these people are having the effect on you because you don't realize your own weakness. You don't realize your own weakness in the fact that, I'm not strong enough, that when they come onto me and they say, these small things, step by step, they make you more like them. There's a saying we have in English. There's a saying we have in English that essentially people who are wretched, right? Or people who they're in a bad hal, there's something wrong with them, they like to bring more people with them. Just like shaitan. Shaitan, Allah Azza wa Jal, after Adam was created and shaitan disobeyed, shaitan was already told you're going to Jahannam. That regardless of what you do, this, that, what did shaitan say? He said, let me stay longer so that I can drag more of insan, more like Adam alayhi salam with me. Not because shaitan benefits. It's not like, the more insan he brings to Jahannam, that he's going to get less of a punishment. No, it's not like this. Regardless of whether he brings or he doesn't bring, shaitan is already going to Jahannam. It's purely because he said, these people, I will go out of my way, I'll do anything just to drag them with me. Similarly, there is shayateen min al-insi wal-jinn. Maybe not literally, but to the metaphorical sense that yes, they will work because they want you to be like them. They want you to be like them. So this is a Sahabi, he's worried about his level in Jannah because he won't be Rasulullah. And Rasulullah is telling him what? He's telling him, just because your love for me, because you have this concern that, I won't be able to see you, Ya Rasulullah, this will be the reason that you gain high levels in Jannah. That he's telling him, don't worry. This love is so important that it will bring you with me and the other Anbiya. To the degree where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says in a different hadith, لا يؤمن أحدكم, that one of you will not truly believe, your iman will not be complete, حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين, until I am more beloved than his child, his parent, and the people. That the people as mass, your parents, your children are from those people who are the most closest to you. You're the most worried about them, you take the most care of them. People, they come and go, yes. But your parents, alhamdulillah, they're always there. That Rasulullah ﷺ is saying, your love for me should be greater than for any of these other people. That the qalb, just the heart, could be the difference between you entering Jannah and you having to suffer some punishment in Jahannam. That just because you love these good people, that you love these salihin, that you love these anbiya, that you love these muttaqeen, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring you with them. Now, you and I, we might say, okay, I know in my heart, I don't truly have this kind of a love. I'm just faking it. Unfortunately, this is the waswas of shaitan. He'll come and he'll tell us, you don't mean it. It's not genuinely, you don't really mean it. It's just something you're just telling yourself to make yourself feel, I'm a good person because I love thee. No. Don't think that, just because I'm not doing, this long tahajjud at night, that now it's not really who I am. Because shaitan will come and convince you that, no, this isn't who you are, so why are you even trying? But in reality, we'll come and we'll say, I don't truly have this love, but what have we done to work towards this love? Genuinely, what have we done? Alhamdulillah, we can say, I listened to one talk, and then I went home, and then we spend the rest of our day in dunya. I do 1-2 things every now and then khalas. And then we just expect that this true hope comes in our heart. You know, there's a beautiful example. When you go, you truly love somebody. You know, you go to meet someone, what do? You dress nicely, right? You take a clean shower. You make sure your hair is nice. You put on some nice perfume, some nice itar, right? You make sure you're there on time. You make sure everything's perfect. Everything is perfect. When you truly love someone, you're always thinking about them. All the time. You're always thinking about them. You're always worried about how they're doing. Now we find that we're like this in the dunya. Our work, right? Any of our loved ones, these are people we're always thinking about, we're always concerned with. Can you say that you have the same akhlaq when it comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Do we have the same akhlaq? No, but rather, we'll put on some talk, we'll be in our pajamas, and we'll sit up on the couch, and we'll put our feet up, and that's enough for us. That's good. And then we turn it off and we say, okay, I did my part, now I'm going to go and I'm going to dream about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I listen to one talk, I read some Quran, that's good enough. But if we meant it, if we genuinely meant it, we would go that extra mile. Because this is hubb. Hubb is not to say, oh, I love someone. Just like similarly, your iman, your ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, it's not enough. Your actions also have to follow. Your salah has to follow. Your a'mal have to follow. Your zakah, your hajj, so on and so forth. It's not just something we can say. Talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. When we come and we say, we want to see X, Y, and Z change in the community. Who are we starting with? Are we pointing fingers and waiting, oh, brother, why aren't you doing this? I don't see any Quran, you're not reading any Quran. And then we don't look at our own lives. Yani khasira dunya wal akhirah. We're more worried about other people, and then we ignore our own dunya. And we ignore our own akhirah. That instead of us taking our own precautions, instead of us realizing, hey, this is stuff I have to work on, that we're more worried about pointing fingers at other people. One of the few things we can say is that yes, although we may not be spending these long nights of tahajjud, although we may not be able to say, I read a whole khatam of Quran every week, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah sallam, he says in a hadith, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ, that the most beloved of actions to Allah Azza wa Jal are those actions, even if they're small, but they're at least consistent. At least they're consistent. Now this doesn't mean that slowly we increase our actions, but start with something small. At least take that step. Take that step so you can work towards it. Instead of getting up one night in tahajjud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not asking you, get up a whole night in tahajjud, pray long rak'ahs of tahajjud, and then in the morning you don't pray fajr because you're too busy praying tahajjud. Your fara'id come first, and then these extra a'mal come. But all of these extra a'mal that we say, oh, these long things I want to do, they don't come until your heart is in the right place. That you're not doing it because somebody's coming and telling you, oh, why you should be doing this. Because mom and dad is going to come and they're going to say, oh, why aren't you up for fajr? But that instead you're doing it because of your iman, your taqwa, and your hubb of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the mahbub told you that, oh, you should be praying like this. That the mahbub told you, oh, you should be reading Quran. You should be doing adhkar. You should be making dua. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would pray long rak'ahs of tahajjud. And some of the sahabiyas, they would come and they say, Ya Rasulullah, why? You're praying so long that your feet ends up, you get these blisters. Some of our teachers, they say when they were in South Africa, it would be so cold sometimes that they would get these blisters on their feet that if you were to take a quarter, like the coin, you could slip it into the blister and it would fit. Now imagine whatever Rasulullah sallallahu had versus this. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he turns and he says what? أَلَا أَكُونَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا. He's promised Jannah. There's nothing he wasn't given. And he's saying, shouldn't I be a thankful slave? Shouldn't I be a thankful slave? So like this, because of the hubb that we should have for him, that Rasulullah sallam, he does like this. Rasulullah sallam, he speaks like this, that we follow in his footsteps. that we follow in his footsteps and the footsteps of those, the Sahaba, their example, and those who follow the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Astaghfirullah wa li wa lakum wa li sa'iril muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem. One of the examples, like we do when we go to pull an example, is we can look at the Sahabis. Because the Ashab of Rasulullah sallam are a good way for us to say that, they weren't Anbiya. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a high level, but it is something that we can emulate, and we could say, I'm working towards that. So the ayah we mentioned in the beginning of the khutbah, as it comes in the 8th ayah of Surah Al-Ankabut, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حُسْنًا, that indeed we have bestowed insan, his parents, so that he can be good with them, he can have good akhlaq with them, he treat them well. وَإِنْ جَاهَدَاكَ لِتُشْرِكَ بِمَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا, and if they encourage you, they push you to do something which you have no ilm of, which in the tafasir, as it comes in tafsir of Jalalain, that true ilm being shirk, these different things, بِمَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا, then don't follow them. إِلَيَّ مَرْجِعُكُمْ, to me is your return. فَأُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ, then I will inform you, I will question you on what you used to do. Now, from one of the lessons we can pull from this ayah is that, yes, to have good akhlaq with our parents. But one of the beautiful stories that come with this, relating to the hubb of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is actually the sabab al-nuzul for this ayah, which is that story of Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu. Now, some backstory to this Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, he had a lot of love for his mother. He had a lot of love for his mother. He and his mother, he used to spend a lot of time with her. They would say that Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas and his mother, they were always together. So now Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, when he becomes Muslim, he knows that my mother's not going to like this. So he doesn't tell his mother. But of course, as any of the Muslimin, one of the great trials that they had to go through was that their parents, their family would find out, and this was something very difficult for them. So unfortunately, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, his mother finds out. And she comes to him one day, she says, "Ya Sa'd, I'm hearing all of these things, but I want to make sure it's true. Is it true that you've become Muslim?" So now Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he's caught in a corner. So he says, "Ya Ummi, yes, this is true. Shahidtu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." So now Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas' mother becomes distraught. She's furious. She's like, how could you leave, the path of our forefathers and as the Quraysh were? So she takes a qasam in front of him. She says, I won't eat, I won't drink, I won't take shelter. In some riwayat, she won't take shelter from the wind or the sun or the weather until he becomes murtad from his deen. Now Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas is distraught. His mother, who he used to spend all of his time with, who had extreme love for him, is now threatening her own life just so he can become murtad. So now he has two choices. Either he leaves his deen, na'udhu billah, for his mother, or he says, "Ya Ummi, I can't do this." And to add on to this test, as he's walking around Mecca, what are the Quraysh and Mushrikeen saying to him? They're saying, "Ya Sa'd, ya qatila ummah, O killer of his mother. This is what your Islam taught you? This is what your Islam taught you, how to treat your mother? Your mother is saying that, I'm going to end my own life. And you're sitting here waiting." So in tears, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he goes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Destroyed. His own mother is threatening her life. His people are accusing him. And this is where the ayah comes down. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he tells him, "Ya Sa'd, just have patience. Push through this, Ya Sa'd. Be strong." So he goes back to his mother. And now is where when his heart was in the right place, regardless of what was being tested, he was ready to face that test. He goes to his mother and he says, "Ya Ummi, law alimtu, if I had known that you had 1,000 lives, and one was going one after the other, nafsan, nafsan, I wouldn't have left this deen. That, oh my mother, if you were to die over and over again based off of this qasam you took, I would have never left this deen for anything. And his mother, just purely from his resolve, because she can see the Muslimin where their hearts are. It's not in the dunya. It's not because, oh, the people of Quraysh, his people were coming and making fun of him. He could have said, you know, I can't do this. All the pressure is on me. This is too hard for me. He had an excuse. He could say, my own mother, she's saying, I'm going to kill myself. I don't want to risk the life of my mother. Why not? Why couldn't he have just said, you know, I'm going to keep my Islam. I'll tell her I became murtad. But even in that, he didn't do it. All of this, why? Because of his taqwa, because of his iman, and because of his true hubb of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That he is the Nabi liman la nabiyya ba'da. So Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas' mother, she leaves this. And she goes back to eating and drinking, and their relationship moves on later. So what we find is that, yes, our a'mal in this dunya, we can do things because of somebody told me to do it. We can do things because there's some pressure on me. But at the end of the day, when our hearts are not in the right place, when our intentions are not in the right place, when we love those things which are temporary, then when those things disappear, what will keep you going? When no longer there's that pressure, when our parents are no longer there to remind you, hey, you have to do these things. If we don't keep that company that they're going to be on our backs, yo, what's up? What are you doing? Then when those people disappear, we will have nothing left pushing us. So we have to make sure that the hubb for the mahbub, that our iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our taqwa is above, is a'la, is ashad than those things in this dunya. Yes, those things may be encouraging. They may help you along the way. But we should always have in mind that if all of these things were to disappear, just as Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anh, as his whole life vision was about to disappear in front of him, he still stayed on his deen. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us steadfast on our deen, to put the love, the hubb of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in our hearts, that regardless of what we face in this dunya, regardless, be it physical, mental, emotional stress, that we push through it. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum wa li sa'il muslimin fastaghfiruhu innahu wal ghafurur rahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihil kareem. أما بعد فيا معشر المسلمين فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد بعدد من صلى وصام اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد بعدد من قعد وقام اللهم صل على جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين وسائر الصحابة والتابعين وعلى عبادك الصالحين يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم نور قلوبنا بنور الإيمان اللهم ثبتنا على الإسلام اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم ودعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة